Please be seated. Well, to be honest, I have chosen not to preach on the gospel. That is kind of a portent of bad news. I want to talk about the good news. This has been quite a week. It's actually been quite a couple of years. It's almost as if we are now waking up, looking around and saying, where have we been for the last 2 years? It's almost as if we were taken up in a vortex of distrust and dislike and disingenuousness. It was almost as if we had become a nation that we were not familiar with. It's almost as if we had been carried away from the country that we loved, of gentility and kindness, and had gone into exile. And now we're back. And people are walking along in the streets and saying, now what? Because we have come back to a nation that has changed. Things are not the same as they were 2 years ago. Now what? You can even see it in the eyes of our president-elect. When he stands up and he looks like, now what do I do? We all are thinking that way. Oh my, now what do we do? Because one thing we do know is that in this land that where we went, we were very, very divided. We know that there was one half who greatly feared the election of the other half's candidate. And this was not just kind of a mild fear. On both sides, there was a terrified feeling if the other one was elected. And so here we are, back in America, with the elections over. And now what? How do we recover? How do we recover the nation that we had 2 years ago or 200 years ago? How do we come back from that exile to where we are here and now? The prophet Isaiah was speaking to a group of people who had just come back from exile. The people of Judah had been conquered by the Assyrians and had been taken by force to Babylon, where they had lived for at least a generation. And then with a change of power, the Assyrian government said, go home. And so the Israelites had gone back to the country of Judah. Only things had changed. It was not the way they remembered. Some of their houses had been actually subsumed into somebody else's house. Some of their trees had been cut down. Some things were not the same. And so the people of Judah were wandering around, cynical, distrustful, because they had not trusted God or wherever they were in their enemies. They didn't know whether some of their people had been collaborators. Some had been to Babylon. And so they were cynical, angry, and distrustful. And yet they were home. So God said to Isaiah, I will bring you new heavens and a new earth. That is my promise. Don't forget from where you came. As I created this world, says God, I create now. I create a new earth. An earth that was built on the roots that I gave you. An earth that the people who believed in the law of Moses, in the Ten Commandments, The people that believed that there was one God. Only that was not just what God said. God said, like the trees and the seasons of the trees, I will give you your lives. You will live a long life. The infants born now will live to be over 100. This is part of the new life, the new heavens and the new earth. Only the people of Judah were called to help God bring that new earth back to the land of Judah where they had been. They were required to leave the exile, to leave behind the hate, the distrust, and the anger, and bring forth the new earth, the new creation that God was offering them and us. For like trees, we have been shaken in the wind and in the storms. And like the trees of autumn, sometimes our leaves are falling off. But as you know, trees now go to their roots. The roots spread out, gather nourishment. If we can't see the trees grow, their foundations are growing. They are supporting themselves. They are getting ready. Like the people of Judah, who went back to the laws of Moses and said, we believe in one God. So must we. We must go back to where we were. We must go back to remember the laws of Moses and the law of Jesus. And that law was, I believe in one God. Love that God. Love your neighbor as yourself. Of all the laws of this nation, we uphold. Some of you have fought to uphold. But the roots of our foundation in this church as Christians are to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. That is the foundation. That is the roots of who we are. So some of you are in Great Mourning, and some of you are getting reservations for the inaugural balls. But the foundations of what we have is that Christian faith. Well, what does that mean? For some, it is a very daunting call. A call and a challenge and the clarion shout. We are Christians and we love our neighbors. But with that call is the remembrance that this is God's creation. We are just helping that God, that omnipresent God. When you think you are daunted and depressed, remember that God is within you, like the energy of electricity, like the power of strength. That is our God, and that is what is infused in all of us. Somebody sent me a card the other day that said, you may believe in wishbones, but we are built on backbones. That's who we are. We are Christians. And our backbone is straight. Our call is clear. We are Christians. We love our neighbor. We love our God. So what does that mean practically? You know me, I'm always trying to get to the practical part. It means that we love our neighbor, that we welcome refugees into this country. It means that we protect our neighbors, be they Muslim or LGBTQ or whatever. That is our call and our cry. We will protect our neighbor. We will love our neighbor. I think when the trees blow in the breeze, I think when I see and look out in the autumn and I see this tree standing tall, I remember that underground, at their foundation, they are growing their roots again. That the complacency that they had that developed over the spring and the summer, and I'm getting lost in my metaphor, it is clear and strong at the base. May we never forget that the exile is over, that we are called, we are challenged to stand up and say, we are with God. Amen.